Hey everybody, it's your man James, Mr. Quinn Treasure, back in with some more video action for you. Seeing as now it's December, of course, and we're all thinking about Christmas and whatnot. I thought I found a little carve out here from an old live stream that I thought you would enjoy. It's talking about the sales numbers back in 2020, and it really kind of spotlights to you just how little has really changed in the industry over the last few years as far as their sales go. And as you're watching this bit here, take note of the numbers I'm bringing up, because I think you'll see how just how bad off the industry actually is. I thought it was kind of interesting. Again, like I said, since Christmas time and everyone's thinking about gifts and money and all that kind of thing, buying stuff, and this kind of shows you how bad off the comic industry has been for quite some time. It's not a new phenomenon, and it's definitely been getting worse over the years. And I just thought it was kind of interesting, again, the time of year. So I hope you guys get a little something fun out of this. And I want to thank you all for joining me today, and say that if you like what you hear here, drop a like down there, help out the algorithms around the place. And also, if you got any comments, please drop them down below. I always want to hear what the folks got to say on these kind of topics. And please be sure to subscribe if you haven't subscribed, so you don't miss any of the content that I've been putting out here. And if you have subscribed, share out some links, and let's bring in some new blood, because I always like pumping up those subscription numbers, because the more I get, the more stuff I want to tend to do. So if you want to see more stuff, that's the best way to go. And again, I thank you all for joining me today. I hope you're having a good holiday season in the hustle and bustle, and I will be back soon with some more stuff. And until next time, take care. This is artist Dan Panosian, and he wrote, "Guess what? Comic books are awesome. Pass it on." To which, of course, I replied. I said, "Older ones, yes. The art form, absolutely. Current ones, not so much." So he asked me my favorite genres, and I give him, my favorites. And then he asked when I was in a comic book store last, and I told him. And then I asked him, why is he asking me all this? And he goes, "I think comic books as a whole is better than it's ever been. Lots of variety and talent out there. I'm just curious and wondering if there's a title or titles you might enjoy." And I said, didn't say there was nothing I could enjoy, but compared to the past, the work is not better. It's much more bland, homogenized, and lacking in actual entertainment value. It's more interested in pushing agendas and narrative than entertaining a mass audience. Very sad. And then he replies, I love crime books, and I think the comic books today outshine ones from the past. I'm just sad I won't be seeing any more Darwin Cook, but I really love what Brubaker and Sean Phillips do. Brian Azzarello always delivers, which is why Brian Azzarello got involved at all. And I can't get enough. And I said, and that's where my point comes in about, how I'm glad that he enjoys the lower quality today, but the older stuff is better. And the fact that, so many shops are saying back issues are keeping them alive and keeping the doors open rather than new issues, which has always been the lifeblood of any comic book store, is a very telling thing. But of course, then we have to get noodle heads coming in. Here's one here, Grant Watson. Are you suggesting more than a few as a majority? As if to try to say my point is irrelevant, but of course it isn't. So I tell him, I'm saying in the past, you didn't see any comic shops saying they couldn't make it without back issues. They could make the rent selling new stuff. Now you have ones who can't. And that proves new comics are not better than the old ones. And I think that absolutely proves that. But again, here's another one, Alan Sharp. The local shops in my area thrive on new material and trade collections of recent arcs, not old back issues. DC Black Label has been great. Marvel Max is also good stuff for adults. Mark Miller puts out consistently good work also, etc. Notice, though, all these things he lists are all for adults. When we all know that you need to get new readers, and new readers are kids. You notice he wasn't worried about that. Very telling. But again, I give him the scope. I tell him, I say, that's nice for your local shops. That's not the case for everyone. The current comics are not better than the old stuff. The shops closing proves it. The low sales units prove it. The lack of enthusiasm many comic readers have for them proves it. These are all things that are quantifiably provable and have been many times. Which then we get this guy, Nicholas Lawrence Carter. Every single bit of this is hearsay. None of what you said is proven, except it has been proven. Simply because your small circle of closed-minded buddies might believe this doesn't make it true. Show evidence, prove it. I've been reading comics for 26 years. I've never liked them more now. How funny. Me and my closed circle of closed-minded buddies. Our experiences, our stories, our anecdotes, stuff we've talked to people about, we've heard people say that doesn't prove anything. But yet his liking them more now
than he has in his 26 years of reading them. That somehow means, oh no, they're better than ever, just by him. I mean, again, you see the mentality of the people. They're just so in denial of what's actually happening. The evidence is there for you to see. Google search shops saying back issues keep them open. Look at the unit numbers over the last few years compared to, say, 2000. The facts are all there. I can't help it if you just don't want to see them. And that's absolutely true. So I took time out to actually dig up some evidence. So this right here that you're seeing, this is from the top 300 listing of comics from April of 2000. The cover prices here alone should tell you that this is old information. Now, I want you to take a close look here. Look at this. About 41,000 for the one right there at the top, all the way down to 35,000. 41 to 35. So it's like a 6,000. Just it's a little less than 6,000 difference between the rankings, and you can see where the numbers are. Okay, now keep note of those, because coming up next here, these are the numbers from the same chart, only for February of this year, February of 2020. And you see here, 38,000 to 29,000. So that's 9,000 difference between. And not only that, but again, if we go back real quick here, again, look, 38 and 29, and here, 41 and 35. So the individual unit sales in these rankings, each individual is not just lower from where they were in 2000, but the gap between the range is larger as well. So, I mean, this right here tells the story. And, this is with much higher cover prices. And they're selling less than ever. And 2000 was not a great year for comics. That was actually what people saw as a cratering out from the speculator bubble that popped in the mid-90s. So, I hit him with these numbers, and he goes, and the point of these pictures is, you do realize that in 2000, only 300 titles are accounted for, and in 2020, there are 522. What market do you know inflates by almost 50%, but is also in decline with proprietors shutting down? I'll help you out. The answer is there aren't any, except there is any. There is the comic book industry, and I again try to hit them with facts, and that's why they are shutting down. They can't sell the shit books of today. And 2000 was when the burst speculator bubble cratered. That was seen as comics' lowest ebb then. Yet the numbers show that the unit sales have decreased even more since then. Flooding the shelves with crap books that no one wants isn't helping the comic shops. It's only helping to kill them. And that's part of why you now have shops saying things like back issues are keeping our doors open. But as I said, I knew you'd ignore and brush aside the numbers. Thanks for running true to form and proving me right on that too. I do appreciate it. You see, you got to understand how these people think. When he asked for evidence, he'd already made his conclusion. He was never, ever going to accept anything that goes against the preconceived notion that he believes already. From his 26 years of reading, and I love him more now than I did when I started. That's what these guys do. They don't want actual discussion. They don't want actual facts. They just want confirmation bias. Your facts don't fit into my confirmation bias, therefore your facts are irrelevant. You see how I try to just brush them aside? And so it comes in again. You also conveniently chose February of 2020. See, trying to bring in COVID, but we all know the February numbers got nothing to do with COVID. COVID didn't hit until mid-March. So even the March numbers probably wouldn't be negatively affected. Nice try at being slick there, except I wasn't slick. Unfortunately for you, these numbers do not prove your point. The top 10 from April 2000 sold units totals 858,570. From 2020, it's 830,301. 29,269 units equates to a decline in sales that shut shops. Yes, it does. But you can't trust the top 10, and I tell them why. Those are the last pre-COVID numbers. I didn't want you using that as an excuse, even though you are trying here. And the top 10 and the top 10 means little. Many anomalies there. What you need to watch is the mid-tier books like the ones I listed. That tells you the real story, and it's not good. And that's exactly true. You can't trust the top 10 because there's all kinds of anomalies. You got, maybe an issue sold more because it was an anniversary issue. So you can't trust that number because next month's issue won't be up that high. Or maybe it was a relaunch of a number one. Number ones always get more attention. Or maybe it was one that had 50,000 variant covers today. And of course, certain variant covers will get more play than others. And, so there's all kinds of anomalies you can get in top 10 that explains why that book is there. It's the mid-tier you saw, like in the 30s and the 40s. That's where the true health of the industry is shown, is in those numbers. That's what you want to pay attention to. But that's what guys like him don't want to pay attention to, and they want to sidestep because they know that those numbers do not reflect well for what they want you to believe. And you'll see that coming up here in a second. Many anomalies there. Nice deflection. You didn't take the time to add the numbers, did you? Except I did. And even with his adding of the numbers, it came out almost 30,000 less from the top 10 in 2020 than it was in 2000. So I mean, right there, I mean, he's stupid. You have not proven your point. To anyone who bothers to actually look, you have proven the opposite. And I said, no, my point has been proven. Sales of comics now are lower than they were at what was called the lowest point 20 years ago. The industry would love to have those numbers today, but they can't and won't because the product's quality is not as good. Sorry, no gotcha for you. And then again, he just once again misses the point. The industry would die with those numbers today. The data you provided shows that. No, the data I provide shows that these numbers today are killing them. Every comic is priced higher and higher than the actual inflation rate, and they sell almost identically as the data you provided shows, except they didn't sell identical, did they? There was a difference of 9,000 between those groupings I shown. A difference of 9,000 today, where it was only less than 6,000 20 years ago. And even his, using the top 10, showed a difference of 30,000 less now than in 2000. So the numbers don't prove that. They prove my point, which is, of course, he can't accept. This is the disconnect, the cognitive dissonance of people who have already decided in their minds what the facts are. So I hit him up with it. Higher cover prices to cover the flagging sales. Yep, that's my point. Sales suck because the work is poor quality, and the numbers of sales are not identical. It's from 10 to 15% less now than in 2000. But again, I know you don't care about the numbers, just your narrative. And that's exactly the point. That's exactly what these people do.